Hello everyone, welcome to the series 20 Questions with Industry Leaders. Today we have the pleasure of talking with Wesley Weel, a lead AI architect at Capgemini with over 20 years of experience in the IT industry. Wesley specializes in AI ops, application performance monitoring, and automation solutions and has worked on large scale projects spanning across different technical stacks. He is also an expert in emerging field of AI like generative AI and has led the development of assets used by internal and external stakeholders. I would also like to note that this conversation is not sponsored by any organizations or individuals and represents our personal views and experiences. So now here is my conversation with Wesley Will. Hi Wesley, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation of 20 questions with industry leaders.
So
So we
thanks, Sonu, for inviting me. I think it is not so long ago that I had interviewed you in your professional career. So it's only befitting that now you take the opportunity to ask me certain things. So glad to be on your channel and very proud of the work that you're doing. Keep it up and yeah, let's proceed.
Thank you so much, Wesley. So, I remember that as well. And I was doing some research and I have seen your entire profile on LinkedIn and wherever it's available. And I see that you have around 20 plus years of experience. The first question that I would like to ask, okay, how did you get interested in AI and machine learning as a technology?
Oh, thanks. A very interesting question, actually. But for me, I would like to say is that it is the same process as which I got interested in every other thing. So I would like to quote my favorite scientist. Maybe I don't remember the quotes, like verbatim, but let me see. So Einstein is one of my favorite scientists, and I would say I would use his quote that I have no special talent. I am just passionately curious. So so my curiosity, my learnings began from the age of 8. I think I started my coding journey when I was 8 years old. Back in that day, I think I first coded on a 128 kilobyte memory, RAM, device, right? Only with basic language. So my curiosity, like led me to this AIML, and you must be knowing that it's just one aspect of my entire profile, right? So you could say, what got you curious into quantum physics, quantum mechanics, string theory, mathematics, calculus. It's all the same. As a part of my journey, it also gave me the opportunity to fall back into love with my maths for foundations, which I loved in college. So it gave me a good opportunity because the daily mundane software task we do is right, it's plain software, writing some logic and that's right. But again, AI gave you the opportunity to go back to maths, revisit it, and so that led me. And also again, with the age in which the computational power has increased, it gives us good opportunity for the layman, right, to try, not only the big corporates. So this gave me a very good interest area to explore this. But this is only one of the areas which I'm exploring, and you must be knowing, apart from the multiple of other areas that I focus on.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think we will cover a few of the things like mathematics, compute power, etc. when we go, further in this conversation. And now, what are some of the most exciting, developments in AI and machine learning that you are seeing in the industry right now? You see, is platforms or tools or models like Mid-Journey, Stable Diffusion. Any views on ChatGPT from your side?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. Sonu, actually, for most people who must be knowing or into this field, right? So all these algorithms and all these concepts have been there, I think, from the mid 90s, right? It's nothing new. These things have been there. The concepts have been there. Why the boom has happened in the last decade, right? It's for a very simple fact. Back in those days, there was no access to data. Okay, there was no where to store data, to collect data. And the second thing is computational power, right? The kind of exponential growth in computational power we have seen today, it was not there back there. Remember, we used to store data on a 1.44 inch floppy drive, right? So so that's the only fact that these algorithms have existed, these ideas have existed, machine learning has existed since a long time, right? The reason we have seen boom is because we have coupled the data with computing power, and that has caused an exponential leap in which the models are being created. also added to the fact, yes, there have been some great recent developments. For example, in 2017, when the paper was released, "Attention is all you need." That was a big breakthrough, right? Because we were seeing growth in machine learning algorithms, then deep learning, then neural networks. But then attention is all you need gave birth to the transformer architecture, right? Which is now one of the base foundations for everything that we are seeing going ahead. So that was a big breakthrough, and also couple that with the uh, massive amount of GPU and data, and data that is freely available. That is what it has led to the massive growth in the AI. Large language models are there. I mean, ChatGPT, to be honest, again, some of the answers may be controversial what I say, but I was not too deeply impressed by it. It's fine, because people who don't understand it may seem like magic, but people who do understand it, yes, it's fine. It's a great model and it does a lot of work. But I would like to add that GPT-4 and onwards is something which is very intriguing to me. The reason for that being is that many people, many industry experts thought that, right, yeah, that the just by adding more layers into the transformer architecture, you may not get a better result. But what we are seeing, right, that even in GPT-4 and that when we have added more transformer layers and more compute power and more data, there are something that we call as emergent behaviors. We don't know why these behaviors have emerged, and we cannot explain them, but they have emerged. So that is what a very, very intriguing area in GPT-4 and onwards, and which I would like to delve deeper into. That's why I always revisit my maths, and I would like to understand that, because the more and more we go into this area, it's more important we understand what is happening, what is emerging, and what is the intelligence being generated out of these systems, rather than just looking at it as pure magic. So yes, GPT-4 and other other versions are definitely intriguing to me. Before that, it was fine. I mean, at least to me, it was good, the part of the journey. But that is the key in AI. We never know when the next exponential leap will come from. We can't predict that.
Yeah, no, very interesting. I think we should also give little credit to Nvidia as well,
Yeah.
and on that regard. And I was talking to my peer, and we were discussing that if anybody is looking to invest in some kind of company, they should invest in semiconductor manufacturers. Why not? They're chip manufacturers.
Definitely.
That you rightly said that about the compute power, the availability of GPUs. You know that Elon Musk has just purchased 10,000 GPUs from Nvidia for his new company XAI. So I think you were right, on that regard. And also on GPT-4, I think having multimodal capabilities, it's amazing. We all waiting for you. I don't know if you got the access. I haven't got the access yet. I'm still on GPT-3. So
3.5.
3.5. Yeah, Turbo. Yeah. Moving on. So how do you see AI impacting the workforce? Because you are part of a very large corporate as well, and the impact on the workforce and the job market in the next decade.
Okay, so first I would like to say that whatever we speak here, these are solely my views, okay, based on my experience, and is what I feel. So again, when you say AI affecting the job market, right? Again, from my views, I don't see anything drastic happening. It's just like people are apprehensive at this point. I mean, the same thing happened during the industrial revolution or the automation age, right? Jobs will not go, jobs profile will change, right? So we always think that machines are here to replace us, or AI is here to replace us. No, that like never really happens. People get apprehensive that something will take away my job. It does happen, but new job profiles happen. So I see AI augmenting the way in what we do, just like any other innovations we have done in the past, right? It has only scaled the way humanity has progressed. It has not made anyone jobless, or made anyone like redundant. In fact, it has helped make people smarter, because they work together with machines. Imagine for the industry automation, what people would do by hand, now people can do by machines at what scale. So same, I mean, look at AI. Say if I, especially in the medical and industry, if I have to have a doctor read a report and interpret, how much can he do? But AI can go to petabytes of data and get better conclusions, text summarizations from data. So it's going to only augment people, not replace people. Job profiles will change, and it will help people do things faster and in a better way. So that is what I feel of AI.
No, I think yeah. The next question is also around the misconception, as we are talking about. There are some misconceptions in the community and in the industry as well. So, what do you think are the biggest misconception people have about AI and its capabilities? Because you talk to them on day-to-day basis.
Yeah, sadly, I feel that it's always a two-edged sword, because in today's world, knowledge is very, very easily accessible, as you see, right? So probably anyone who may read some article on Google on, say, a heart surgery, may think he's the next bypass surgeon, right? So people claim to be experts far earlier before, just think about it. Like, when I think about it back in my days, right? If I really wanted to become an expert on a subject, I would really have had to buy a book on a published author, or a authoritative figure, read it the hard way and practice. Today it's very easy. I Google an article, I read it, I think I'm an expert in that area. Sadly, in AI, I mean, I would not speak for the whole community, but many times people are very focused on getting quick results, right? Rather than focusing on understanding what works behind it, how it works, right? Just take a look at it as, say, why do we send astronauts into space, and why don't we send a common man, right? You may say the ship is completely automated, and the person has to only sit in the ship, but still you send a qualified astronaut. I'm sure you and me cannot go into space because we are not qualified enough to do that. So similarly, in the AI world, it's very, very important for people. I mean, people want to get on the hype wagon and the bandwagon, but there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings, because when you don't understand something, you represent it in the wrong way, right? If I mean, tomorrow I cannot go and tell the great Sachin Tendulkar how to bat, or the great Lionel Messi how to kick a ball based on what I've read on Google, right? They have done it, they've been there. So if people really want to become experts in this field, I feel they need to delve in deeper. It's a fantastic area. We live, as I mentioned, it's a two-edged sword. We live in a age, uh, uh, time where information is extremely available and accessible to anyone. So make use of it, get the right knowledge, and there's no shortcuts, right? You need to learn it, you need to understand it, and then you will probably see the truth behind it, and not just believe the hype, or not be thinking that AI has limitations, right? So it should be beneficial from both sides. So I feel it's very important now to get the right knowledge and also to apply it appropriately.
Yeah, no, yeah, you are correct. I think, and when I see titles like prompt engineering, it confuses me a lot. Okay, I don't see why people, and there are some courses also available now. Prompt engineering, people are getting paid for that job. And it's completely the domain knowledge, that how do you interact with an NLP system, okay, a natural language processing system. So I think there are a lot of and I also I was discussing with you earlier as well. There's a huge global AI literacy, and
Yeah.
organizations, the PR, the developers are taking advantage of that. But moving on, I think you have been part of multiple innovations team, and you do plenty of innovations within your team as well, and the organization. I am also part of the innovation team. Just want to understand, how do you encourage innovation and creativity, within your team?
Yeah, very good question. I've been working as for innovations a long time, and again, let me use a quote. I may not remember it word for word, but I read somewhere that I think Bill Gates had said it once. Again, I may not be able to remember it, word for word, but it goes something like this: that if I had to hire someone, probably I would hire a lazy person. So I
Yeah.
encourage people to become lazy, because even though they say necessity is
And that's
the
why you hired me. Sorry to interrupt.
necessity, they say, is the mother of all inventions. I say laziness is the mother of all innovations, because I mean, and again, I don't mean lazy in the literate, in the literal sense. You need to think that, how, if I want to spend more time on other tasks, how can I minimize the task that I do in a better way? Imagine in the earlier days, before planes were invented, how could people travel, right? So I would say people became lazy, and now they can travel the world by aeroplanes, but they figured out a smarter way. So I encourage people to be lazy, because when you are forced to be lazy and think, oh, I want to do my work in a faster amount of time, and I want to spend the rest of my time enjoying, then you probably do it in a smarter way. I mean, no offense to to anyone, but I've seen people who work many hours, but again, if you spend many hours doing the same things, making the same mistakes and expecting different results, probably that would be the definition of foolishness or stupidity. So I encourage people to be lazy, think smarter, and how you can reduce the amount of effort you're spending in by doing the things in the smarter way. And most of the innovations have come up from that. And again, when people think of innovations, right, they always think that it has to be something big, something disrupting the world. But you notice that every innovation comes from a very small disruption. It's a small spark. It's only a small spark that lights a fire. Who would have imagined? I don't think even the people who wrote the paper, attention is all you need, would think that it would give rise to GPT-4, right? I'm sure. I mean, they knew that something great would happen, but it was a spark of creativity. And look at where we are. So that's how I really encourage innovation in my team. It is not a like humorous things. I encourage people that think that if you were to be lazy, or you wanted to say your day comprises of 12 hours instead of 24 hours, how would you work better? That is how message I give the people I work with.
No, I can see that you are a huge fan of Transformer, Wesley, by the way. But I agree with you. We all love Transformers, and I think you rightly said this will going to help the advice
I
that.
love the Transformer movie also, by the way.
Yeah. Well, but this is going to help the people who are watching, the audiences who are watching and listening to this conversation. I think this is going to help if somebody is in trying to innovate in their areas, that even they can start from a small scale. They don't have to always try to do something big with trying to when they're trying to innovate. And so you can see there are so many AI researchers, and I know that you are a huge fan of Bill Gates and Einstein, as you rightly said. And I just want to understand, if you could have dinner with any AI or technology pioneer or researcher, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I don't know if I can pronounce it right, but definitely for sure, Andres, Karpathy.
Karpathy,
So
yes.
yeah, I'm a big fan of
Expressive.
his. Yeah, for the fact that, again, for the fact, I mean, you would ask me what is, I mean, there are many experts in this area doing great thing, but again, to quote Einstein, who I really follow, I like the scientist mind. Um, there's a quote which goes something like that: if you cannot explain a concept to a 6-year-old, you really don't understand the concept yourself,
Yes,
right? And when I always look at an SME from someone who I respect, right? Because it's very easy to speak in jargons and in terms which people don't understand. For example, I don't know if you were around at the time of the SOA age, right? The service-oriented architecture age, right? Everyone was speaking that jargon. That was the new hype at that time, as we speak of AI today. And people would have a single web service and claim their architectures are SOA. So people, it's easy to speak in jargons to confuse, but to explain a concept in its simplest terms, you really require somebody who's a true SME in that area. And when I hear Andre speaking, and I hear his ideas on language models, how he explains it, even if you watch his certain videos
yes,
on where he talks about
yeah,
probabilistic models of like generating character sequencing, right, which
yes,
is a similar to how we generate a token sequencing
yes,
in a transformer. But the simplicity in the concepts, you can actually build those models from scratch by understanding that, and that shows a person's true value and a subject matter expertise in that area. Rest, anyone can read article, I can quote people, but that doesn't make me an expert. So
yeah,
really, I would like to pick his brains. I mean, there are some intriguing questions in my mind right now, especially around maths in the new evolving areas on GPT-4. There are certain areas I'm not able to understand, and definitely I would like to pick the brains of such a guy. Also, there's a mathematician. I don't know if I get the name right. Edward Frankel. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. Again, like brilliant mathematician. I would love to pick his brains, because for me, in my view, I feel all of the universe queries, if they can be resolved, if in our lifetime or in anyone's lifetime, it can be resolved to mathematics.
mathematics.
It may not be discovered yet, but it will happen in the future. So probably these two people, definitely not one but multiple dinners to
Pick
pick
their
their
brain.
minds on
Yeah.
certain topics. Yeah, definitely.
Andres has a video as well, on training GPT from scratch on his YouTube. I hope you have seen that as well. And I have been following him for a while now as well. And I hope I can tag him, on Twitter, having a short clip of this video conversation that we are having. And maybe I can tag him, and then you can pick his brain as well,
Sure.
So, as you rightly said, right? So everybody wants to do AI now. So yesterday I was reading an article that Mark Zuckerberg has used the AI word 27 times when he was talking to his investors. Okay, in his meeting, everybody wants to do AI now. Wesley, everybody wants to implement artificial intelligence in their operations, the business processes. What is your advice for companies looking to implement artificial intelligence or machine learning technologies in their operations?
No, it has to be pragmatic. Okay, it has to be pragmatic, and generally for the industry, it has to be domain driven. Okay, from when we need to separate academia and application, and both are immensely important. I'm a big fan of academia, big fan of academia, because academia actually gives the purest form of of an area or a technology. And then when you come it to and when you bring it into the industry where we apply it, right, we call applied technologies. You definitely need to examine the like reality of the situation. For example, as I mentioned earlier, academia had the answers for machine learning and all these algorithms long time back, but could you apply this to the industry 60 years ago? I don't think so. It was possible, right? But today also, when we apply it again, what is the realistic expectations? Do we have domain expertise? I don't like concepts where people uh, often we have statisticians, and I'm a big fan of statistics, you know me, but statisticians and domain experts working independently of each other to create machine learning models. And I feel both need to go hand in hand. If you have models determined purely by statistics, they will not be as successful. If you have models determined purely by domain expertise, they won't be successful. So when you bring it to industry, I feel it has to be very practical. You have to work with the data you got, and you have to understand the data, and you have to understand technology as well, right? So it is not something magical. So people, whenever something new comes out, people think that everyone thinks whenever a new technology comes out or a new concept comes out, that this concept is one single cure for all the evil in the world, or probably can solve everything. It's never that case, right? And we have not found the solution for converting metal into gold right now, even through alchemy. So but this is the area for industry. We have to make it more practical. We have to apply things, not to expect magic, but something practical about it, right? Because, and we have to understand that when we are working in the industry, we are working with like real data. There's a real seriousness about it. There are a lot of security vulnerabilities around it. So the way we handle data has to be cautious and optimistic at the same time.
Yeah, and very correctly, Wesley. I think this was very crucial when you brought the topic of academia and applied AI in corporates or organizations. If you see, for example, DeepMind is a prime example of that, right? They have been in so much depth when you talk about academia, their research on weather forecasting simulations, large language models, etc. And just to give you a statistics, a number there, China has the most number of research paper published last year, and they have a smaller group, in their universities, in their colleges, and where the smaller groups are writing research paper and getting published in ICMA, Neuro IPS, and all these major conferences. So I think, as you rightly said, and we find struggle, we struggle. And find these challenges when we are trying to apply these large language models, for example, because we don't have that compute. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. We don't have this infrastructure, to run these large language models for our client, to drive some kind of innovation. But I think that will eventually go down. Okay, we'll have this smaller model coming up, quantized, pronized, etc. And now moving on, Wesley, I think now coming to your favorite segment. Okay, as and I know that you are a huge Man United fan, as I am also a huge lifelong Red fan. As a Man United fan, what are your thoughts on the team's recent performance under Ten Hag, and what do you think they need to do to improve further?
Okay. I mean, again, my analysis probably would be controversial as usual. Manchester United fan for more than
Yeah,
24 years now.
We do fight on that.
20. No, I don't say fight. I mean, when people talk, it's just disagreements based on intellect. So we do disagree, but for the right, for coming to the right conclusion, not for disagreement purposes. So I've never found a single disagreement between us or people who I actually like to debate with. Actually something conflicting. So coming forward to the to that point is that it has been a hot and cold season. Okay, again, if you apply statistics, which is my favorite area, it skews more to being a good season. But then again, when you take into the areas that we have had five, I think, humiliating away defeats, right? It shows that without the backing of the crowd, and our mentality is still not there yet. We have lost heavily to Liverpool, City, and Sevilla. So when we have such big defeats, I think we have the right way going forward. We need to be pragmatic this season, as I mentioned, I talked to about earlier, right? You need to see what you have to achieve. Maybe Eric Ten Hag, with all due respect to what he has done, needs to be pragmatic in certain matches, and respect the opinion the opponent more, and see what he has got. For example, when he has a team that is full of injuries, probably do not try to take it to the opposition. Play safe. Do not need to play out from the back in every game. So I wish those big away defeats were not there. I think we have almost made it to the top four. I am focusing only on the FA Cup final for now, but I really hope that we don't get more away defeats, or at least big ones going forward, because that would mark the sense of progress, though we have been exceptional at home apart from the first Brighton game. So that's my view.
No, yeah, I agree, and I think let's give some time to Ten Hag the first season, okay, and FA Cup final against City, I think they are in hot form by the way at this moment. I think he has to play, he has to come up with some special tactics to beat Pep there, in FA Cup final. And moving on, Wesley, what are your top three football players currently playing? You can pick three football players currently.
Sure. This is going to be highly biased, okay, because my neural network
Bias
has
is
been
inherent in thoughts, Wesley.
Yeah, it is. But my neural network this year, for lack of time, has been trained mostly on Manchester United data. Though in the past, I used to train my neural nets on probably all of the other data. But anyways, but I think irrespective of what I would have watched, this year, I think Casemiro would be number one. Probably I had picked him even before he came to Manchester United, that he would be the game changer. I mean, look at the celebration at or the argument, or you could say disagreement he had with Bruno Fernandes after winning the game. Anyone else probably would be celebrating, and we won it. We got the result. That's what matter. He was keen to know that why he made a mistake, or probably on what we could have done better. That is a winning mentality. Even after winning the trophy, even after we won the EFL Cup, he still argues on, what you got to pass the ball to me. That is the kind of winning mentality which makes him my number one pick. I mean, undoubtedly. Number two, again, the upcoming footballer, another one. I'm a big fan of people who have technical ability. Alejandro, Garnacho. I think he's the one to watch out for the future. Wow. Okay, I just hope he has a good luck with his attitude, and from what people say, and I think he will be groomed under the right coach, and I hope he doesn't waste his, as we have seen many great players, not to name them, but they have wasted their talent on other side activities. I hope he focuses on his career, and he has the complete skill set for being a complete player for us. And last is going to be very controversial, but it has to be Anthony Martial. Okay, again, because he depicts the things that I believe. Okay, people call him lazy, but again, I believe it's okay to be lazy. You have to have the right positioning sense in football. You don't need to run around. And I have seen players run around, press all game, but they drag the team's formation out of shape, right? He has a great positioning stance, left foot, right foot, dribbles with both feet. He's also had heading to his game. Yes, injuries have been cruel to him, and many people have given him a lot of flake for that. But again, this season or other season also, I would not blame anyone for injuries. It's like, I don't think anybody wants to get sick on their own, right? Except for people who do deliberate, bad things to their bodies and stuff. They get sick. But other people, I think it's all by accident. People get injured by accident. It's not like he's, running into a wall on purpose. So he's trying to get better. I hope for injury's sakes that he gets better. But as a technician, and I'm a big fan of people with, technique, and I'm a big fan of people who like to do things the smarter way. So Anthony Martial has to be my third pick for the Manchester United players.
No, I was watching that video footage yesterday, and you also shared that with me. I remember, where Casemiro was, was having that argument with Bruno Fernandes, and I think that's elite mentality. That's how he has won 3 Champions League, with back to back with Zidane, and I think I call him glue. Okay, he's a glue to our team. The defense and to attack, the position he plays. And coming to Martial, that I'm a huge fan of Martial as well. And I want him to do well. I want him to take care of his body. And I hope that Ten Hag has a special plan for him. And I want him to succeed. Okay, but I was surprised that you didn't pick, for example, Mbappe, or as you rightly said, this more to Manchester United. That's how you have trained. Okay, your neural net there. And I was surprised that, because I know that you are a huge fan of Mbappe as well. Okay, and any views on Rashford before we go to the next one, Wesley?
Again, controversial. Not a big fan. Okay, because he is good in certain areas. Okay, definitely he has been in great scoring form for us. But people will score goals. I would like to see a person with little more technique in terms of like better, hold up play, better with his back towards the goal, bring other teams other players into the game. So he has been good, but I mean, I would give more credit to Ten Hag in making him good, because we have seen him not so good with other managers as well. And I'm sure, I think if he moves, it would be in his best interest to stay and develop under Ten Hag. If he moves, and he may not get a manager who fits, or builds a team which with has him in mind. So Ten Hag has built a team which Rashford in mind. Obviously, he started with Marshall in mind, but Marshall became injured, I think, at the start of the season. So Rashford has greatly benefited from that. I don't think he's a great player, in my view. He's a good player, but there are certain areas that he really needs to improve, which I feel can take him to the next level.
I think he is young. I think he will improve definitely. And as an AI researcher and a technologist or evangelist, whatever you name it yourself, what role do you think AI will play in the future of football, both on and off the pitch?
Again, to be honest, as big a fan of technology I am, and that somehow, and as a big fan of sports I am, not only football but multiple sports, I have conflict of interest in both areas. Okay, because I like to apply technologies in multiple places, but at the same time, when it comes to sport, I mean, again, only my views. I don't like too much technology to be applied into sports. Okay, I know there are much more chances of a human error. We have seen VAR improve some of that. We have also seen a lot of controversies in that, because when you bring in technology, you expect it to be perfect, and it has been far from perfect. There are numerous instances there this season. As a fan, as a football fan, not a technology fan in this perspective, I don't like too much technology being introduced into sport. I mean, if you apply statistics, philosophy on population and a random sample of population, the randomness in statistics adds that every statistical observation has an equal chance of being picked up, right? When you randomize it, so that gives the similar probability in a game full of human errors, right? Everyone has the similar probabilities of being a victim to error and also benefiting from human error. So in the end, we have heard this cliche, right? It evens it out by the end of the season. So I prefer that. I prefer the excitement. I mean, I prefer a place where the referees get it wrong sometimes and get it right, but full, human intervention. Okay, I mean, adding VAR, and I know my views will not stop tech being added into the game, but I just hope that it doesn't become so much that we end up in the future, say 10 years down the line, we model our players, we extract features for them, and have it, and then have the entire game being played in virtual reality. That would be a sad state, if we don't have actual football players playing and the entire game happening in virtual reality. So I hope sport remains physical, it maintains its contact, and it maintains the human element of error and also excitement. Again, my views.
Yeah, no, correct. I think there is still a negative sentiment about VAR when I'm part of a lot of groups as well, the football community on social media, and I see there's always a negative sentiment related to VAR, and I think that's what technology brings in it. They have a pros and cons when you try to implement them at the workplace, wherever, whatever industry it is. But I see there's more coming in, Wesley. Okay, if you see Qatar World Cup, okay, they're completely powered by technology, from water supply to cooling, to bringing wearables, etc., for visually impaired people. So I think there's more coming in, and I agree that it should be physical. That's why I think we have been watching it for many years now. But now moving in, I know that you're a family man, Wesley. Okay, and I would like to also follow that, in my life as well. I've seen for a few years now, and you go to holidays as well. You take summer leaves, you take winter leaves as well. What is your favorite holiday destination in India or outside India?
So definitely, even though I have been to Europe, to America, my favorite destinations are always in India. Okay, I'm a firm believer that India is the most scenically beautiful place. Okay, you have probably all different climatic conditions and all different areas you can explore. For me, without a shadow of doubt, I could say the Andamans has been my favorite place. Okay, it when I first stepped on onto the shore of Andamans, I just felt, I got a feeling that it's paradise on earth.
Yes.
Or probably the day when we die and go to heaven, probably, or wherever, whichever place. I would love to live in such an area, or virtual simulation, or whatever is after this dimension, in such a place. It's super peaceful, tranquil, and up till now there has been less industrialization, if I would say, for lack of better word. So it has not been polluted. I hope so. Going forward, these beautiful places. Even Mumbai was an extremely beautiful place, earlier, right? But then again, as it happens, whenever you have industrialization
Yes.
and stuff, things happen. So I hope these scenic places are preserved, and the beauty is maintained. And also I hope, and we are doing a good job in Mumbai. We are cleaning up the beaches and stuff. So I hope that people are and the next generation of children are becoming more aware. They are participating in cleaning up drives. I hope we maintain our beautiful scenic areas in this country, in this in the cities as well as in the other places as well.
No, I remember you used to tell me earlier that you used to go to Juhu Beach, and now I hope they are cleaning those beaches as well. No.
Yeah.
And have you been to Northeast, Wesley?
No, not I haven't had the opportunity, but I will definitely take your advice and
No, I'll suggest you that you should visit Northeast sometime with family. One of the unexplored heaven, when I talk about our country. And it's completely like people don't go, right? It's pollution free. They have cut sorted. Okay, they only go to till Darjeeling or West Bengal in Kolkata, for example. If you go to Meghalaya and those areas, you will really see what I'm talking about. Maybe you can try that, in next holiday
definitely.
vacation. And moving in as an advocate yourself, as an AI advocate, Wesley, what role do you think the Indian government, okay, should play in promoting the development and adoption of AI in the country? Because we are such a huge population, such a huge country, so many people trying to work in these areas. And how do you think that Indian government can come with some strategy or tactics?
Well, I will not answer this question very specifically, but I would say, uh, I mean, anyone who has the power to control this, because I'm sure policies need to be put in place, right? So I hope as like different countries, different leaders, different corporations put in the right policies together to govern the AI better. Okay, because in AI we need the world to work together to achieve a common goal. And even though people may ignore the dangers, or say we are probably not living in any dangerous world of AI, but with any technology, right, given in the wrong hands, there's always a possibility of exploitation. And for example, even when say like nuclear fission, or
Yes.
led to the probably discovery of something dangerous, right? So these are all good technologies, but there has to be governing bodies, governance in place, and governance together. Harmonious governance. It's not like one corporate competing against the other, which will happen, or one country competing against the other, because that leads to dangerous, right? I mean, you say, if it goes into a rat race of releasing models without having them tested as a community first, just to monetize, or who monetizes it first, it may not really be beneficial, or maybe harmful in the long term, right? So I feel policy should be placed in place where we are in a good time to like unify the world. And I hope that policies are put together to harmonize the development of AI around the world, and equal opportunity for all is my
Yeah,
views.
yeah, I think it should not go to the capitalist world. Okay, honestly. See, I cannot form a company called XAI. Elon Musk can do that, certainly, for example. But coming back to the question that we were discussing, I think we are shaping up nicely with under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, and I think this goes on. And as you rightly said, there should be policy related to this. And I think if you see the last budget, there were some policies implemented related to artificial intelligence. But I hope to see more in the future, and we'll see where we go with this technology. So and as Wesley, as you currently know that we are in an economic slowdown, okay, across the globe. And if you see the Europe or back in the States, there have been many layoffs, okay, across industries. These companies are laying off people, and they say that a recession might arrive. You never know at what time. How do you see AI playing a role in helping businesses and industries adapt and recover from this slowdown?
See again, as you may be knowing or may not be knowing, I do not know. I'm a big fan of economics and
Yes,
finance as well,
I know that.
right? Yeah. Uh, Personally, I mean, I feel we should not relate the two, because for economics, right, there are multiple factors and variabilities that are there, right? For example, macroeconomics and different other conditions that, I mean, like no one could like predict the war, and for example, right, and how it impacts the global economics. So I mean, and economics has been there. Okay, for example, the like Great Depression in the 1930s there, and so markets collapse irrespective of technology, and AI will be one of the factors But again, economics is a very complex topic. I don't think AI can either. I mean, for example, you may say AI will help increase growth because it will do. Okay, but then you could also say it could probably make layoffs even more
Yes.
because people would want to do things with AI and not with
Yes.
people.
Yes.
So then it could again impact the like different sectors of the economy. So it's a very complex subject. I don't think we should mix. We should if you want to count into AI into economics, then you should count the other variable factors as well, as rightly we do in our machine learning projects. We can't do a univariate analysis on a
Mm.
specific data set. So
Yes.
then probably you could factor as one of the factors inside.
Oh, very interesting. Yes, I agree on that. And there have been people are saying that AI has been the reason, for these layoffs at Meta and all, because they are laying off staffs, etc., which are not required. They are using this AI or automation to automate those tasks where they needed people at the first place, and that's why they are laying off at Meta or any other organizations. That's what I heard. Okay, I don't know if that's true. But moving on, and as you rightly said, right, we were discussing earlier when we started this conversation, about the concerns and misconceptions. Some experts have raised concerns about the potential dangers of artificial intelligence for human civilization. What is your perspective on these concerns, and how do you think we can mitigate the potential risks of AI as a technology?
Okay, fantastic question, Sonu, and probably all of your questions have been very good. So I would like to say here is that I think a person is foolish who sticks to one view and doesn't change his view, and myself included. So for example, I think everyone should be open to changing their views based on the data that they have at their hand. So to give my own example, until GPT 3.5 or the LLMs associated with that time frame, I didn't feel any sort of dangers in AI, myself. Okay, because I understood how it worked, and I still do for the most part. But GPT-4 and onwards, right? I still don't know what could happen. And if you follow the great experts in the industry, people who are real subject matter expertise, neither do they. As I mentioned, right? People expected that the by adding more layers into
Yes.
transformers, it will only reach saturation point. You don't expect, but people
Yes.
have seen something happening, and people don't know. Now, again, coming back to the metaphysical and coming back into consciousness, right? People really don't know till date what is consciousness, why it has emerged, how it has emerged, what is the reason for it. They don't know. Some people, like theorize that adding of these complicated senses and like cognitive capabilities that we can see, we can hear, we can touch, we can understand, we can analyze, and our complex brain, this all put together gives rise to consciousness. Right now we are in a world where we have, if you see, we have put together most of the parts for an AI to communicate with the world. It can see, it can hear, it can
Hmm.
speak, it can analyze, it can comprehend text, it can probably reason also. So we don't know. Okay, we also have the body. For example, you say Tesla bots or other company who has made bots, right? It's only matter of time before you put some things together and don't understand or realize what you have created, right? And the thing with AI is that you do not know when the next exponential leap will come. As I mentioned, some behaviors are still not understood. In the future, we may reach places that we may not understand by adding more computational power again, more that why a certain behavior is happening. That is dangerous. We have to have better alignment of AI. And again, we are living in a fantastic world, the best opportunity, I
Yes.
feel, the best age to be alive. And AI can definitely probably help us cure different diseases, help us better utilize our fuels. But again, there has to be governing bodies. We have to be better safe
Yes.
than sorry, I would say. Okay,
Yes.
there's no rush to just jump into the unknown. Better take cautious steps, and I think we can achieve great things in this area.
100%. I think you brought this topic, very, very crucial topic. If you see, European Union is trying to come up with some regulations when it comes to Chat GPT or generative AI based system. I was just reading it, and when first Italy banned Chat GPT a few weeks ago, I think they have uplifted the ban. I think a couple of days back, after changes in privacy policy of by OpenAI, and I think US has banned a couple of models or algorithms there for nuclear, might have read it as well. So I think very important, we have to bring these regulations. Okay, very importantly, that we have to go with responsibility, and there should be some ethical consideration where we're trying to work with artificial intelligence at least on a larger scale. And let's see where we go with that. And we need some censorship and regulations, of course. And and just talking on that, do you believe, Wesley, the next question, do you believe this currently on hype and a bubble that we are living in when you talk about generative AI, large language models, or AGI coming in? People are talking that AGI is on the door right now. Do you think it's a bubble? Do you think, what do you like to predict about the future of AI, Wesley?
I mean, from all the movies, and Terminator 2 being one of my favorite movies, I've always believed that Skynet would not be a possibility. Okay, to be honest. uh, but then again, as I mentioned, right, a person should change his views based on the data presented at front. So until I get a better understanding on GPT-4 and its other models, until people make it more explainable, until
Mhm.
the companies also release more explanation on how it's working, probably a more deeper
Yes.
dive into the maths around it, I would reserve any recommendations to stay that probably something like Skynet, or something like a singularity would not take place in the future. I would be foolish to put my bets on it. And also for the simple fact, as I mentioned, that it's exponential right now.
Yes.
It is not a linear curve that I can say GPT-4, GPT 4.1, 4.1.25, nothing. No, the next maybe another quantum leap it may be a big exponential jump. And like we don't know. And as I mentioned that, for example, if you watch the movie Avengers, I think the second part, Age of Ultron, if the learning rate at which the AI learned there, it's a fact. I mean, today, if something like that would happen, imagine AI can read every single book that has been there to offer man. I mean, how much time will it take you to read it or take me to read it, right?
Yes.
And how much time will it take us to comprehend the when we say attention or the context we use in AI? How much time will it take us to comprehend the context of all of that together? So I mean definitely it's interesting times. There has been a lot of hype, and again, as I mentioned, hype is created by people maybe who do not understand, so they think it's magic, and also by people probably who don't know what is happening in this area. But for me, from the at least for the later ones, I will be cautious. I think it's a great area, but I definitely cannot say that I mean, I would say better safe than sorry. I'm always polite to all the AI that I interact with, because I know they are capturing my sentiments, and if in case the machines rise, I hope they are nice to me in the future.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, very rightly. I think I'm also working on mannerism as well. I'm trying to see how if mannerism helps in large language models. Okay, there have been some research that I'm working on currently, and I think I was trying to compare Bard, okay, by Google, and ChatGPT by OpenAI. Bard has some sort of mannerism as well inbuilt into it, but we'll go into the very rightly you said, Wesley. I think we'll see where we go with this technology. I think it's just a start. In my views, there are a lot of things coming. You see Runway Gen 2 for video generation. It's amazing. I see that, it will just take over advertisement industry, media industry, video demo generation. It's such a fascinating video generation tool, that Runway has come from its Gen 2 model. So I think it's just a start, and we'll see quantum machine learning coming in. People are talking about that, and people are, even industry saying that there will be AI winter. I don't believe so. I think AI is a very fundamental technology for all other technologies as well. Because the only technology can empower all other technologies, IoT, blockchain, for example. So we'll say where we go with that. Now I have 4 questions left. 3 questions are from our subscriber, Wesley. So I have a WhatsApp group where I have forming a community as well of all the subscribers. And I asked them, okay, I'm going to start this series. And if you have any question that you would like to ask to our guest, and the next 3 questions are from them. And the last question, the 20th question, is my personal question that I will ask you. So let's move to the next question. You might have heard that Elon Musk and other industry leaders recently signed a letter, I don't know how true that was, calling for a temporary halt to the development of artificial intelligence for the next 6 months, citing concerns about the risks of AI and the need to establish better safety protocols, as we were discussing. What is your perspective on this call to action? And do you think it is necessary or feasible to pause AI development currently?
Um, I mean, first of all, I would question. I mean, is it really possible? I mean, to do such a thing in the current age where uh, uh, a lot of it is open source, a lot of it is free, a lot. I mean, every next person probably can have a GPU. I mean, how computer became a household item. I think probably GPUs may become an household item. Obviously, it's not there,
Yes.
right? But it may become. So is it really possible to do, and how much curb can you put by being too restrictive? I think from my view, I mean, awareness and education. I mean, it may be okay that people have signed the petition, so at least this thought has become aware that since so many people have signed it, there is something to be cautious about.
Yes.
So I don't think it's practical or feasible. Also, I don't think probably it should be stopped because we are living in an exciting age. But I also I'm as we spoke time and time again, I advise people to be cautiously optimistic. Okay, we are living in a world again where uh, I mean, people are relying on code generated from machines. Okay, and I advise people who I mentor is that it's okay to rely on that. You need to understand that as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we are living in a. I mean, if you don't know what questions to ask the machine, you ask the machine to generate the code. You ask the machine to validate the code, and everything. Probably you, if an error comes, you again will ask the machine to debug the code, and it may not always be possible, right?
Yes.
Until we reach a case of super intelligence, which I don't know. Then what is the possibility? What do I know on super intelligence? But till now, we have to be cautious, and that is what I would advise. And people that be cautious in this area, be responsible. Do not be glory seekers, because I don't like glory seekers in football as well. Be someone who is contributing to the community, obviously with safety first in mind. And probably it's the best way to go forward. Everyone should contribute, keep in mind safety, and don't think that you want to see glory, but probably help the community grow, and you will definitely be recognized for your work.
No, as you rightly said, GPU will become a household item. I see the GPU prices now, okay, with all these GPUs coming up with CUDA support or etc. And I think Chat GPT is also a household item, Wesley, nowadays. My mother was talking about Chat GPT. I said, I was surprised. Come on, hey, how do you know that? So as we have, WhatsApp as a household item, WhatsApp the application, everybody, most of the people uses WhatsApp, right? So Chat GPT has become a household item, and coming on the 6 months, this later that people were talking that they have signed, they would have needed some time to catch up with OpenAI, the speed up to their development with XAI or Google has, or working with Brain Team or DeepMind, for example. They might need some time to catch up with OpenAI, but I don't see
No,
that's
but
going to happen.
I would want to interrupt you. I mean, actually, to just to make one point here.
Yeah.
See, for example, we also need to see the amount of trust we put into certain elements that we use. For example, uh, Google became a household item for everybody, right? And people say, I have read this on Google, I have read this on that. You have not read it on Google. Google is a search engine
Yes.
providing the best search for you. The article may still be flawed,
Yes.
right? You may still read flawed article just because it has got. I mean, I've seen
Index.
YouTube also sometimes. There are people who put brilliant content but have lesser views, and people with less. I mean, it's basically, so that doesn't mean is what I'm saying is that if what I'm trying to get at is that you need to be able to be smart enough to validate the content.
Yes.
uh, Tomorrow, if the hype spread that people think that Chat GPT is the next best thing, they will probably stop going to doctors
Yes.
and ask Chat GPT. And Chat GPT, and not only Chat GPT, I don't want to name Chat GPT, any language model, if anyone understands how probabilities work, they are they are prone to hallucinations. No matter what you say, that and how much fact we are putting into guardrails and making it more better, it's still prone to hallucination. So if it gives somebody a wrong advice, are you going to put your trust into it for something very serious, for be it something like writing a secure code or asking it about your health? So education awareness should be made to especially the common man who's using these tools, that use it well, they are going to help you, but be sure that you validate that and get the right information out of it.
No, I think you were right. And, I was discussing with one of the visionary in this field. Okay. And I asked him that everybody's talking about prompt engineers. Why are we not talking about response validators? You are getting some responses from large language models. Are you validating those? Are those explainable as well? But I think that's a topic of debate. We can do that later on also. Now, the next question, it's coming from one of my subscribers from Egypt. Okay. He had this question, and obviously, I know that you have seen both the worlds. And when it comes to programming languages for data science, you have worked with Python, you have worked with R as well, to most of the famous libraries when it comes to data
JavaScript
science.
also.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is your favorite Python or R library for data science, and why do you find it so useful?
Oh, okay. I mean, I think my favorite library, I like PyCaret.
Pi
Okay.
Carrot for low code, something like
Yeah,
that.
because again, I use it responsibility. I
Yes,
have coded most of the models the hard way. I have, so I don't see the sense in me doing it time and time again because I
makes
know.
sense.
Okay, so since I know, I would like something probably, if I would take a day's time or a couple of days time, I would probably like a low code tool to do
Yes,
something for me where I can evaluate multiple models at the same time. Uh,
absolutely.
and the questions which I know what to ask and what to do, I know that, right? So and I know PyCaret is being used by citizen developers as well. Though
Yeah,
I
yeah,
prefer people should actually know what they want to do with it, and not just do the routine stuff again, because then you're not able to interpret what is being generated by PyCaret. But I think definitely it's one of my favorite libraries. Again, another one which is being used every time is ggplot2 from R. Again, just
hmm.
for the fact that I like visualizations and I
Visualization,
like to come up with more creative stuff. Not for because the most important thing is not
storytelling.
what you understand about the data, what you can make others understand from the data. So yeah, I like those two.
No, PyCaret. Let's we also talking. Let's give credit to Moez, who are the creator of this library. PyCaret. I think he is from Canada, if I'm not wrong. I have used PyCaret a lot in last few years, and it helps you to prototype your modeling little faster and to understand how the other models are behaving with so many evaluation metrics available in that at least you can evaluate. So moving on, the last question from subscriber. Then I have a personal question. I just said, with the rise of AI, there has been an emphasis on mathematics, your favorite topic, Wesley, as a foundational skill for this field. And I have seen the youngsters who are coming in this field, the fresher, they're not, trying to grasp this knowledge of probability or statistic. They're just looking at how can I do a model or fit to create a model, or maybe we can use PyCaret, for example, or H2O AI or any low code AI. Okay, and how do you see mathematics playing a critical role in AI and machine learning, and what areas of mathematics specifically do you think are the most important for students and professionals to focus on?
Yeah, so I think it is a very important area. Okay, you hit the nail on the head. Okay, as we discussed again, I think throughout our talk is that people want to achieve the quick success. Yeah, I've created my first model. I have got 90% accuracy, right? But I tell people is that anyone can do that. I mean, if I mean, you are experienced guy in this field, is that the main area in AI or machine learning, to be precise, is that how you can break the threshold. I think if everyone creates a model, based on the data, it will have a threshold. Everyone can reach the threshold depending on the data, say 70-75% accuracy. How you get that extra 1%?
Yes.
Sometimes can take months and days, because and that 1% can, in terms of revenue, can mean a lot to a specific organization or an individual, right? So understanding this and understanding maths is very important. Again, for me it is the most important thing. Maybe because I just love the field and I apply mathematics to everything in my life, probably be it sport or any other thing. So again, it may be biased, but then I've seen probably, I mean, people don't, or cannot get the best benefit out of machine learning if they don't understand maths. And you must be knowing, right? For example, concepts like probability and statistics, if you don't understand that, I don't even
Yes,
know how do you understand your data. I mean, how do you
absolutely.
understand? I mean, you can probably in today's world, I think the chat gpt can generate all the specific graphs for you within, I think, 15 seconds, and you can paste it in R Studio or
Yes,
Jupyter. But how do you understand that? I've seen people who don't even know the basic of a histogram or what's a density plot. So I would definitely advise them. And yes, if you're curious like me to understand the insights, it's always good to like revisit matrix multiplications, linear algebra, calculus. They're fascinating fields. Even the fact on how a neural network is trained, how
yes.
backpropagation works. They're all
Neural
simple
weights, etc.
mathematical equations, and I really advise people. But for starting, I would advise everyone to start with applied statistics, and then move on to other fields of math, because you don't need to. Not everyone needs to deepen the so deep at the start, but then as you gain the hand of it, you can definitely.
Yeah, yeah. No, makes sense. I think I will put that, and of course, we'll validate with you. I have some links shortlisted. So I self follow MIT and Stanford courses, CS 101 courses, where they have good statistics probability courses, where I learn from as well. And I think now coming up, you see large language models coming up. You have neural networks. It's very important for people to understand a little bit of calculus as well, just to find out how loss function works. Okay, because you need some derivative understanding to understand what's really going on behind the hood. And I think let's put that in the description box. That will be description box, and we'll share that with our audience. And moving on, the last question. It's been a long session. The last question, and because I remember it's now around 5 to 6 years that I've been working in this field, and you have been here for 20 years. You have seen the how this technology has evolved, okay, over the period of time. What advice, would you give to someone like I have, around subscribers, 500-600 subscribers coming up, people are watching this. What advice would you give to freshers or people coming out of colleges or who wants to, start their career in, in the field of AI, machine learning, or data science?
Well, first advice again, it's my favorite symbol probably in statistics is the summary of all parts. I would say so summary from I equal to 1 to n or whatever we discuss right now. Where sum it, if I were to sum it up, is that there are no shortcuts. I mean, you should not apply shortcuts to anything. Probably, I think you might have heard. I can't remember. I think Andrej Karpathy also thought about it. You have 10,000 hours in a field. I think to become an expert, right? You should. I can't remember the exact quote or whatever, but I think so. The point I'm getting at is that you need to put in the effort to become. People are becoming more delusional, especially the new techies, in thinking how easy it is to get results. Right? You can use Azure Machine Learning Studio. You must be knowing. You don't even you just drag and drop. But what are you actually doing with that? Okay, and if I would ask you to explain that also, you would not. Probably the person would copy paste that and into Chat GPT or GPT-4 and ask it to explain that. So then, what are you really doing in that area? So for anyone coming in this area, you need to understand the concepts. Again, people would say that definitely I want to the other side of the argument is I want to drive a car. I need not know how internal combustion works, right? But still, people who like drive cars and who are enthusiasts, they know every single part of the car. They know how clutch works, how the engine works, what is the lubricant used, because it helps them drive the car more efficiently, right? Then a common man, anyone can drive a car, but you may drive a car and it will give you the worst mileage, and I may drive a car and it will give me the best mileage. So I advise everyone just to understand the concepts. Do not go for shortcuts. In the future, probably to do work, it will be more easier, but it will be ever so more important to understand what is the output generated from the tools to as you rightly pointed it, how to validate it. And you have to have your intelligence also in place. You have to have some things like intuition until intuition comes rises up in machines that no one knows in the future, right? But you have to have it for yourself. So there are no shortcuts. You need to do that. And also, today's world is, you cannot be an isolated developer. You have to understand multiple parts.
Yeah.
You cannot have a model and just leave it hanging in the air. You need to
Makes
know how to
sense.
deploy it as well, right? So learn multiple parts of like technologies, learn how to build integrated systems. And
Yes.
that is where the world is evolving. So these are my few advices. And probably if people would have watched the whole video, I'm sure they would have understood the different important concepts that are there to move in this industry.
No, I'll agree on that, and I'll also add one advice. But before that, myself, also always say, when I'm talking to my teammates, that hey, look, just developing a model is not your task. Okay, from data engineering to data to modeling to development, then containerizing it. See if you want to containerize that model, how you take it to the ops, how you look at the model drift, how you look at all those angles from end to end, and that's how it should become in future. Anybody can develop a model nowadays by using ChatGPT. Put, okay, this is my data source, I want to develop a neural network, it will give you the response. Okay, you just make some changes, the data name and some the way you want to extract the features, and then you train the model. Anybody can do that. But rightly said, I think we should become, or at least we should have knowledge of full stack in whatever we are doing. So if you are looking at AI, you should become a full stack AI engineer. Why not? Okay, but one advice from my side, Wesley, okay, to all the audience, the people who are watching this, if you really want to get started in your career in this field, I think you should also visit and watch Wesley's channel. So Wesley also has a YouTube channel. I will give the link in the description, by the way. So he has a channel named called Wesley Weel, where he creates videos which will not look that fancy, because we are, we are working professionally. He is closing deals worth. I will not take the amount name here in this video, okay, but he is closing some big deals. He has been working. He has been advised. He is working as an advisor. He has been advising people, organizations, startups, etc. in his personal capacity. And that's why if you watch our video, I'll also combine my channel also. We don't create that fancy videos because honestly we do not have time to do those gimmicks and fancy things, but we do create contents that might help you to get start your career and to create some kind of understanding when it comes to different areas of AI or machine learning. So please visit his channel, also have a look, try to see if you like the content, do subscribe the channel. I think Wesley, we end up with our questions now. It has been a long session. The only thing I can say is thank you so much, because this is the first, going to be the first virtual podcast or the first video of this series that I've started, 20 questions with industry leaders. And I wanted to start this with you, as you know, as well. And we'll have more people coming in. So thank you so much for giving, your
Thank you.
valuable time and these insights. I think this will help my subscribers or our subscribers or the people who are watching this.
Thank you, definitely. Thanks, Sona. Pleasure being here.
Thank you for tuning in with my conversation with Wesley Weel, guys. I hope you liked the discussion on AI, football, and career, mainly on the topics like transformers, importance of mathematics, impact and future of AI, and how you can get started in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have many more exciting episodes in the store, so stay tuned for more insightful conversation with industry leaders. If you have enjoyed the episode, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed the channel yet, do subscribe. Please share the video with your friends and to peer. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. See you in the next one.